Because you don't have to have money to make a difference in somebody's life. Your success grows exponentially if you help other people to be successful. It starts with just daily acts of kindness.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Salem Speakers Podcast. This is a show where we talk to inspiring voices who are helping us think differently about life and work. My guest today is someone who has spent a lifetime helping people plan for their future and is now on a mission to redefine what a successful life truly looks like. I'm speaking with Cary Rowell. After a long and successful career as a financial planner and wealth manager, Cary has entered a new chapter as an author and speaker. He just published his first book called Significance Now, and which carries a powerful and urgent message that anyone, regardless of their age, their wealth, their background, has the power to make a positive impact on their community, and they can start today. So Cary, thank you so much for joining us. I'm fascinated by this transition. After a great career in finance and a field often focused on accumulation and future planning, your book's title has a real sense of urgency. What was the catalyst that inspired you to write Significance Now and shift your focus from financial wealth to a wealth of impact?
Well, it's been ongoing for a lot of years. And as you know, when you have a project like this, you might work on it for a while. You set it aside for a couple of years because life happens. And so you don't work and pick it back up, work on it again. And I really felt like I had an urgency to complete it. I had pancreatic cancer surgery about 4.5 years ago, and I've survived. And when I was in the hospital room recovering, one of my main thoughts was I have to finish my book. And the book is really just my message to the world. I hope people will read it and will get something from it. But if nobody likes it, it's still okay. It's still my message. Financial practice, too, is also helping people prepare for their life, financially prepare for their retirement. We help them do budgeting, understand their emotions and their attitudes about money. Half of my job is talking people off the cliff. So this is kind of a natural segue from that is, teaching people how to make a difference in their community. And they don't have to be a certain age. I read a book when I was going through this process called Halftime. That book was mainly taught about you spend your first half of your life making money and second half of your life making a difference. And I thought, well, how do you know when your halftime is? I mean, your halftime might be 20, it might be 40, it might be 50. And why do you have to have a lot of money to make a difference? Because when I think about the most influential people in my life, they were as a high school teacher who certainly wasn't wealthy, or a football coach, or a neighbor's father who lived across the street from me. And I think if most people were to think about those people who are influential, and there may be some crossover, but they would be different from the wealthiest people that they know.
Right. And that title itself is very powerful. What does the word significance mean to you personally, and why was it so important to add the word now to it?
Well, significance really came from, I guess, as an analytical analysis of a definition of success that a lot of people use. I was a SCORE mentor. SCORE is the Service Corps of Retired Executives, and I was a mentor for them for a number of years. And they define success as passion plus competence equals success. What do you get if you replace competence with excellence, and how do you do that? And that's what the book talks about, is how you can replace competence with excellence. And so the result has to be something greater than success. And so I came up with significance. And of course, the way you replace competence with excellence is talent. Because you don't have to have talent to be competent. All you have to do is practice something every day for 8 to 10 hours a day and have a decent coach, and you can be competent at almost anything in this world. But you're not going to be excellent without having some talent to go with it.
Coming from the world of wealth management, you have a unique perspective. Many people believe they need to earn their wealth first, and then they can focus on giving back or making an impact later on in life. Why do you believe the wait until you're successful approach is a myth? And what do people risk losing by delaying their impact?
Well, because you don't have to have money to make a difference in somebody's life. You don't have to have money to open a door for someone or say kind words to people. You don't have to have money to sit with a neighbor or a friend who's going through a hard time and just listen. None of that costs money. And my wife had someone who's very influential in her life that kept her after school when she was growing up, and she grew up in a poor farming community. And the lady who kept her had a dirt floor. She had a very small house and had a dirt floor in the house. She had no money, but she made a big difference in the lives of those children that she kept after school. Naturally, if you have a lot of money and you can do things, you can fund foundations, and you can do things like, the Gates Foundation and other people who have money. Certainly that makes a difference, when you can do those things, but you don't have to do those things to make an impact in your community. And for most of us, our impact is it's going to be in our local community. Most of us are not going to impact on the national level or international level. It's going to be in our local community. But then that seed or that ripple effect, you have no idea how far out that goes from the impact that you make in your community.
Your book's premise is that anyone can make a difference regardless of their background. Can you share an example, maybe from your book, of someone who didn't have much in terms of money or status, but that made an incredible impact on their communities?
Yeah, one of my favorite stories, all the stories are favorite, but one of the main stories, the last one I added, because I read the story about this lady, and then I just felt like I just had to add her to the book. So she's actually passed away, so I called her son, who I knew, and asked for his permission to add her, and that's Elizabeth Bailey. She was given to an older man into marriage when she was 13 years old. Wow. She had a 25-year abusive marriage, had 11 children for him. Finally, after 25 years, she got divorced. She worked at a wood manufacturing plant. She grew up in rural South Carolina during the Jim Crow era. She went to bat for people in her community when they were arrested. She went to the courthouse to testify for them. She went to the jail to try to make sure they were being treated decently. She saved her money over all the years, and she bought a piece of property, and she put small homes on that property. She rented to people that no one else would rent to. She rented to recovering addicts. She rented to people who had just gotten out of prison, and she taught them how to manage their money. She taught them how to get work and get jobs and help them get jobs. And she taught them how to feed themselves. Yeah, she made food and she fed them. All of them referred to her as Mama. She was never a wealthy lady, but she made a huge impact, not just on her 11 children, but on the other people in that community as well.
This is a message that can feel both inspiring and maybe sometimes a little overwhelming. People might think, well, where do I even start? From someone listening right now who wants to start living a life of significance today, what is one simple, practical first step that they could take?
I would say when you get up in the morning, start off with the idea of, I want to meet someone today that I can help in some kind of way. And again, it may be opening the door at post office. It may just be having a casual conversation with someone that may keep them from doing something that they shouldn't do, or doing something to harm themselves just because someone was nice to them and they didn't think that there were any nice people left anymore. So just open a door for someone. Let the car go in front of you if they're in a bigger hurry than you are. Just let them go in front of you and slow down and don't worry about it so much. Just do those little things day to day, and then you'll start seeing opportunities. But the main thing to become significant is to change your focus. Instead of focusing on you, is you focus on other people. You can call it karma, you can call it whatever you like, but when you're focused on helping other people be successful and be happy, then you're more successful and you're more happy yourself.
Absolutely. Let's talk about obstacles. You've identified age, wealth, and background as things that aren't barriers. In your experience, what is the biggest actual barrier that holds most people back from making a positive impact?
There are times in some people's lives when they have to focus on themselves and their families. When you're worried about feeding your family, it's very hard to focus on somebody else. But it still helps to do so if you're able to do so. You have to be at some type of comfort place to really be able to reach out to other people. But that being said, when we closed the business and going through a difficult time, we had a close friend who had had to have emergency surgery, and we took in her 4 kids and kept them for about 2 months while she recovered. And that was through some of our most difficult times. But taking care of those kids and seeing her difficult time, we knew we had our health. And sometimes it makes your difficulties not seem so bad when you're helping someone who has other difficulties. And everyone has things. Everyone has stuff going on in their life. The other obstacles will be things like narcissism. Your own attitude, your own mental makeup. And I believe you can make yourself or create yourself into the person that you want to be. It just takes a little mental concentration. It takes some practice. It may take some help to do that, but you decide who you want to be, and you can make yourself into that person over time.
You've been speaking for many years, even before the book came out. How has your message evolved over the years, and what do you enjoy most about connecting with the live audience?
Well, I went to ministerial school where I was going to be either a professor or a pastor or something like that. So I started very early in my late teens, speaking to churches and also giving sermons or messages or Sunday school classes and that sort of thing. In my current career, I've done a lot of workshops and a lot of speaking, a multitude of different topics. And I just enjoy the energy. And when I speak, I like to create interaction. I like to have something coming back to me. And that's why I use when I speak, I may ask questions or may do some things like that to try to get the audience involved in what I'm talking about. But I enjoy the energy of it. It's just so much energy in the room, and you feed off of that.
When you're on stage speaking about this topic, you're talking to a room full of people with different goals and dreams most times. What is the core feeling or mindset shift you want to create from your audience by the time they leave one of your keynotes or presentations?
Generally, when you're in a room like that, everyone there has achieved some level of success. And somehow I want to get the message about your success grows exponentially if you help other people to be successful. And significance part is focusing on those other people where you can really make a difference. And I'll give you a great example. I was in the building supply industry for a lot of years. In the building supply industry, there was some managers wanted their people to be promoted to managers, and some managers didn't want them promoted because they wanted good people to leave. But the ones who developed people to be promoted into managers, that's the managers who became district managers because all the managers there already worked for them. And so by helping those people succeed, it allowed them to go to the next level in their success journey because they were focused on developing other people. I would like for people to leave the audience and walk out the door and hold the door for the person behind them. Start focusing on that other person. Give up a seat on the bus. Polite things that our grandparents taught us.
This is kind of the beginning for you as an author with your first book, and you mentioned you have plans for 3 more books. Can you give us maybe a small preview of the themes or ideas you're planning to explore next on the journey of significance?
I've already started my second book. So in this book, I have 6 stories in the back about everyday, ordinary people who made a difference in their community. And I started with 4 people, and I ran across another one. I wanted to add that person. I ran across Elizabeth Bailey. I wanted to add her to the book, and I decided that I needed to stop somewhere. So my second book is going to be nothing but stories like that of ordinary people who made a big impact. And I'm looking for 30 to 40 different stories. And I have probably 8 or 9, maybe 10 currently, and I'm working on. And so I need another 30 stories. So my second book's going to be just stories just like that, because to me, those stories are just so powerful. And they're so different too. So anyone should be able to relate to one story or the other. You have Elizabeth Bailey, but you also have a person who pioneered aquaponics. And he learned aquaponics by growing pot in his apartment. So,
Finally, Cary, if you could leave our listeners today on this podcast with one single thought to carry with them this week from the pages of Significant Now, what would be one piece of advice that you'd give them to start building their legacy, not tomorrow or next week, but right now?
There's a process in the book that I talk about on how to discover your passions and how to discover your talents. And you can do online tests, and everyone I've looked at and done it, will be helpful and is good. Your passions may be long buried by all of life's garbage, and you got to be able to dig that out, and then pair that with your talent, so you find that place where you were created to be, based on your personal makeup. There's a common thread in the book of a faith in God, because I think God's the one that created you with your unique makeup. And so you do have a calling, not necessarily a loud voice from heaven, but you have a calling because of how you were created, and that you are intended to do certain things or be in a certain area. And so, you got to identify and touch base with that calling. And again, one of the best ways to do that is walk out the door and then start looking for opportunities to help other people. And it starts with just daily acts of kindness. But then you may run across someone who just needs someone to listen, or run across someone who needs advice in the area that you have expertise in, that you can help. Volunteer as a mentor. Help that new worker who just started work and doesn't know the ropes or the rules or anything else. Just little things like that can make a big difference.
Great. Cary, this has been really grounding and inspirational. Thank you so much for reminding us that our impact is not something we have to wait for, but something we can create every single day with a little, like you said, small acts of kindness. For everyone listening, if you want to bring this powerful message to your organization and inspire your team to start building their legacy now, you can find out more about Cary on his speaker page, which we'll have linked down below in the show notes. So Cary, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for you guys in the audience for tuning in to the Salem Speakers Podcast. We'll see you next time.